Hey everybody, it's Dr. Joe and Queen Khaleesi, and today I'm going to show you general stretches and exercises for the neck. And this is the first video in my 10-day whole body wellness challenge. And if you want to find out how to participate in it and more about it, stick around to the end and I'll tell you a little bit more. So let's get started.
Disclaimer alert, disclaimer alert.
So for this neck routine, you don't need any extra equipment with you. So I'm just going to start off with a warm-up and kind of talk to you about it as we go. So let's just start with some neck rotations. We're going to do a 2-minute warm-up for this routine. This is just to get the muscles loosened up, getting them going. It doesn't have to be anything wild and crazy. Again, this is just kind of a smooth, continuous motion to kind of get everything nice and warmed up. For each exercise or stretch, we'll do either 2 or 4 of each, just depending on what it is, for 30 seconds. So we're not going to do reps, we're just going to do for time. Then we'll do a short break in between each individual one, and then a long break, maybe like a little bit longer in between each exercise or stretch, just to give you a little break to reset everything in between. So with these, you're just gonna, be able to follow along, go at your own pace. If I'm going faster than what you would, just do what's comfortable for you. If you get tired, take a little break in between. This is the beginner one, so hopefully you'll be able to follow along without too many issues, but don't try and push yourself too much. You just go at your own pace. So now let's do, sometimes with neck circles, people talk about not going all the way back behind, so you can just do half ones if you want to, just kind of rolling up. I particularly don't have any issues going back like this if you don't have any neck specific diagnosis of a specific injury, but if you want to just do the half ones, rolling around, kind of getting it loosened up, you can. And then we're going to finish with some big arm circles for the warm-up, just to get those shoulder muscles going too, because all those shoulder muscles and neck muscles are pretty much connected and work together, so you want to get those nice and warmed up as well. You can do going forwards with the circles, you can go back with the circles, you can make big ones, you can make little ones, whatever is most comfortable for you. So now we're going to just take a little break after that warm-up, and then we're going to go into some isometric exercises. With the isometric exercises, that's when you're activating the muscles, but you're not actually moving the muscles. So when we're doing that, you just want to push, starting off with maybe 30% to 40% in the beginning, and then you can do a little bit after that. So we're going to go into a side bend. The side bend motion is this, but we're not actually moving. So see, this is the motion. I'm pushing into my hand at 30 to 40% and then relaxing after 3 to 5 seconds. This is the motion, but now I'm just pushing in, going that way. So I'm holding it for 3 to 5 seconds. Again, not pushing as much as I can, but maybe that 30 to 40%. You should see those muscles activating, but nothing too wild and crazy. It's a little short break in between, then we'll do the other side, and we'll do a couple sets on each side just to get them nice and moving. So again, this is the motion, just pushing in. Start off maybe with the 3 seconds, and then next time you do the routine, if these are easy and didn't cause a whole lot, you can do the hold a little bit longer as well. So I'll do maybe a little bit longer hold with these. But again, you might see my head moving just a little bit, but that's really more so you can see the motion that you would be doing. Ideally, you're not moving your head at all. You're just activating those muscles while you're doing it. And that's that isometric exercise. A lot of times with the isometrics, it's nice because it gets those muscles activated and moving, but you're not moving it physically, where sometimes it would be painful. So sometimes this movement might be uncomfortable, but this movement is not as uncomfortable, but I'm still activating those muscles and getting them moving. So I'm relaxing now, then pushing back in. Again, just using a couple fingers. If you want to use the palm of your hand, if you feel like that's more comfortable, you can. Whatever is most comfortable for you, just getting, again, that push and then relaxing. Sometimes with isometric exercise, you might feel some pops or adjustments. Lots of controversy about what those pops are. As long as they're not painful, it's not really that big of a deal. But again, if it starts to become painful, you definitely want to stop doing them and checking in with your doctor or your physical therapist to see what's going on there. There might be some instability causing that pain. But again, a lot of times when I do these, especially when I start pushing a little bit harder, I'll get a little pop in my neck, and it usually actually feels pretty good. So no big deal with that. And then one more. And so now we're doing a little long break because we're going to move on to another exercise. So now that we've done the side bends, we're going to go into a rotation type of movement. And so again, this is just those isometric movements, but now the motion is going to be this way for each side, and you're using your fingers or your hand to stop that motion. So just getting different muscle groups, but still those isometric exercises. So again, see, this is the motion I'm doing. I'm stopping with my hand. You can probably see some of those muscles activating when I'm doing that movement, but nothing so hard where I'm pushing so hard I'm shaking. You don't want to do that. Even sometimes the less pressure pushing in will get those deeper muscles in the neck versus those bigger outer muscles. And if you're having some stability issues, that's actually a little bit better. Or if you've been diagnosed with something like EDS, using less pressure so you don't overwork those muscles, those loose ligaments in there, is a better way to do it. So always start with just a little bit. I want to reiterate that because sometimes if you push too hard, you're going to get some pain with it. Maybe not while you're doing it, but maybe a little bit afterwards. So again, motion going this way, just pushing in. You can do some nice deep breaths with this, some diaphragmatic breathing. If you're tired of hearing me talking, put me on mute and play some of your favorite music. And so you can still follow along with me. I'm just trying to give you as much information as I can while you're doing these. So again, going back to this side, this is the motion, pushing it. I'm gonna hold a little bit longer this time, the 5-second holds. And again, not moving, but this is the motion that I'm pushing into my hand, getting that push in there. Again, if the palm feels a little bit better and you're comfortable bringing that arm up higher, that might be a little bit more comfortable for some people. And then relaxing. So eventually, if you feel like these are good after you've done them for a while, you could even hold it for 30 seconds, the full 30 seconds. You could hold that motion and do that. So up to you, whatever you feel like works the best for you. So again, pushing in, going this way. And again, that nice deep breathing if you want to. And then relax. And again, go at your own pace. If you can only do 2 or 3 of these in that 30-second period, that's okay. You don't have to do as many as I'm doing. If you only want to do 1 and just kind of see how it feels, that's fine as well. So then the next one we're going to go into is an extension isometric. So this one is a little bit different than the chin tuck that we'll do in a little bit, but I'm looking up towards the ceiling, but I'm stopping myself from doing it. So that's the motion that we want to do. You can do with your hands pushing back. So again, this is the motion I'm doing. I'm pushing back maybe just with 30 to 40%. 3 to 5 second hold, or if it's hard for you to get your hands up here, which it might be for some people if you have some shoulder, some neck tightness and stuff, you can sit in a chair with a long back and push into that, or you can stand behind a wall with a wall behind you and then push your head into the wall. That works as well. So it's really just something that stops you from doing that motion, but that's the motion you're doing. You're actually looking up towards the ceiling, but stopping yourself from doing it. So again, just pushing. Sometimes I'll even look up with my eyes just so I know that's the motion I'm going into. If you've seen some of my videos with therapeutic yoga with Trudy, eye movements have a lot to do with the cranial nerves and the muscles that go along with those. So doing the eye movements actually helps as well, even though sometimes you wouldn't think that just moving your eyes would be a big thing. But I like kind of you know, if my head's going this direction, I'm looking up, doing that direction, just to kind of help those muscles know what they're supposed to be doing. Because when you're not actively moving, sometimes it feels kind of weird. It's like, what am I doing? So pushing, again, that 3 to 5 seconds, maybe a little bit longer now that I've done a couple and it feels okay. And I'm not getting any pain. Again, no pain with this. This one, since it's isometric, shouldn't be much of an issue, but if you're doing this pushing back, bringing your eyes up, and you're getting any kind of dizziness, definitely stop. You shouldn't be getting dizziness with this. So if that's something going on, again, something you want to check in with your doctor and see what's going on with that. And again, if you feel like a pop that's uncomfortable, you don't want to do these either. Just getting that nice, comfortable motion in there and building it up as you go. If you want to do some nice deep breathing, pushing in while you're breathing out, and then breathing in and pushing out. So then the next one, as you can maybe imagine, is going to be going into flexion. So again, this is not quite like the chin tuck that we're going to be doing in next, but this is actually flexing down. That's the motion that you want to do. You're bending your head downwards, but you're stopping it so you're not going anywhere. You can hold here and push in, again, either with your fingers doing that 3 to 5 seconds. You can hold it with your palm pushing in, and again, I'm looking downwards while you're doing it. Or some people, if you don't have any jaw problems, will make a fist and just push here. So I'm pushing down like that, going in. But sometimes if you maybe have some TMJ issues, this might be a little bit uncomfortable. So I usually prefer to do it this way, where I'm pushing or holding it at my forehead to prevent me from going down that way. So if you want to try all 3 of them, you know, and see which one's most comfortable for you. If you want to change hands so you're getting a different exercise with your hand too, alternating each time you can. And again, holding that 3 to 5 seconds really to start off with. And even if the 3 feels like it's too much, you can just do a little 1 to 2 second hold, but really try and hold it just for a little bit, not just, you know, this, but try and get that little bit of hold where those muscles are activating, because that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to activate those muscles to get that engagement of the muscles in there. So if you're just kind of pushing like this, that's not really going to get those muscles to do what they're supposed to do. And then pushing in, relaxing, pushing in. You should be able to see those muscles activating a little bit, even though there's not much movement to it. And these can be done without an injury. This is just a wellness program. If you do have an injury, then make sure you're checking with your doctor first before you start any kind of program. But this is great just in general to get these muscles a little bit stronger and have more stability in that cervical neck area. And again, as we kind of talked about a little bit earlier, even though this is focusing on the neck, a lot of the neck muscles go down into the shoulders. So, it's really helping the shoulders as well. They work together because a lot of these muscles up here come down into the shoulder down there as well. So it's kind of a great routine for both, even though it's specifically for the neck. So the next one's going to be the chin tucks, my favorite. You probably see me do a lot of these if you've watched some of my neck and shoulder videos. This is the one where we're actually pushing it in, making a lot of those double chins in there. But again, going into that comfortable range. Keep it nice and smooth here, pushing back and holding. So you can see my whole head is moving back. Again, trying to hold it if you can. If you haven't done chin tucks before, sometimes it's uncomfortable for people. Sometimes you might just get this much movement. I do chin tucks every day just to help keep my posture going and because I have some shoulder and neck issues. So my motion might be a lot more than your motion to start off with. So don't force it, don't push it, just go into that comfortable position. And if you aren't quite feeling what you're doing, sometimes I'll say put a finger here as a target, leave your finger there, pull back, see how I'm kind of keeping everything in a neutral position, getting those little chins, hold it for about 3 to 5 seconds, and then when you relax, sometimes there's a little bit of space in between. I know I moved my finger a little bit accidentally, but then that kind of shows that you're resetting those neck muscles in there. That's what you're looking for. You want to strengthen, stretch, and reset, especially if you have a lot of posture issues, especially if you work at your computer all day and you tend to do this. This kind of resets everything. So those are some of my favorites. Now we're going to go into some full stretches. This is holding it for the full 30 seconds. We're going to do an upper trap stretch to start off with, one of my favorites, and I'll show you a couple different ways to do it as we go. But this is holding it for the full 30 seconds, getting that nice stretch in that upper trap. So I'm sitting on my hand, bringing my fingers up over, kind of touching my ear and just gently pulling over to the side. Try and keep your head in neutral position. You're not really turning this way or that way. Sometimes you can do that to activate some other muscles, but we're just kind of really focusing on that upper trap right now. I'm feeling that stretch right through in here where that upper trap is. I like to sit on my hand. That's just kind of the way I learned it. You can do it a couple different ways. If you want a slightly different stretch, you can put your hand behind your back like this, and then we're going to come up and over. I like to alternate sides, and then I get a slightly different stretch when my hand is behind my back. So you can try both if both of them feel fine and just see which one feels better for you. But this is another one of my favorite stretches because it really gets that stretch, all the way up here and all the way down through that shoulder is where you should feel it. And this is a great time just to take some nice deep breaths while you stretch, because sometimes, as you can see, when I let out, I can pull just a little bit more. If the other hand, if it's hard, maybe you have some shoulder issues of tightness, you don't have to put it anywhere. You can just place it down on your side and then just gently come over and pull. So I'm still getting a stretch this way, but I'm not getting quite as much stretch because sitting on the hand or putting it behind you kind of pulls that shoulder and that shoulder blade down to help get that stretch in there. But again, if you don't want to put your hand anywhere, you can just put it by your side, or you can push it down if you're sitting in a chair, kind of push it down towards the floor to kind of keep that shoulder blade down. And that gives me a good stretch as well. I just feel like if you're kind of bringing your shoulder down, putting your hand either here or in the back, you're going to get that extra stretch in there. So then I'll go back to this one and then up and over and just pulling that ear down towards the opposite shoulder, and not letting that shoulder ride up as you pull it down. And again, just some nice deep breaths. And as I let out, I give just a little bit more pull if it's not painful and just uncomfortable and tension in there. So the next one is going to be a Levator Scapulae stretch. This is another one of my favorites just because especially if you have posture issues or if you are carrying a lot of stress, those Levator Scapulae muscles tend to hold you up like this. And again, there's a couple different ways you can stretch with your other arm. Up like this, hand behind, pulling that head towards the opposite side is how I learned to do it. You really want that nose either to be pointed towards the opposite knee, or imagine you're kind of tucking your nose into your armpit. So you want it to be at that angle. You're not pulling it to the side this time. You're kind of going at that 45-degree angle to get that nice stretch in there. And I'm feeling that all the way up here, all the way down. Now, some people have a hard time bringing their arm up like that. That's just how I do it. That's how I learned to do it. But you can do it, again, several different ways. So this time I'm going to put my hand behind my back. And again, I'm turning my head at about that 45-degree angle, just trying to tuck my nose into my armpit. And that levator scapulae muscle attaches down at that shoulder blade or that scapula, comes all the way up into the neck, into that cervical area there. So this one is a really, really great stretch when you have a lot of tightness, when you have a lot of stress, holding that stress in your neck. This is just a great stretch to get it nice and loosened up. And again, the same with the other one. If you're having a hard time with your shoulder, putting the arm somewhere on the opposite side, you don't have to put it anywhere. You can just do this motion. I'm still getting that stretch, but again, either by bringing my arm up or putting my arm behind me, that pushes that scapula or that shoulder blade down, and since it's attached there, that's holding it down to get that better stretch. But if you just want to do this, I'm still getting a pretty good stretch this way as well. So again, whatever's most comfortable for you. If you have to modify it a little bit in the beginning and then work your way up to trying it a different way, you can do that as well. So it's, you know, I want to give you a variety of things to try because everybody's different, and what works for you might not work for someone else. So you pick the one that works best for you. Nice deep breathing. As I let out, I'm getting that little bit more stretch in there. All right, so the next one is going to be going back, finishing up with some gentle exercises. Again, this is the beginner one, so it's nothing too wild and crazy. We're just going to do some shoulder circles, shoulder circles, and really it's just moving the shoulder in a circular motion, really kind of coming up, rolling back, kind of squeezing those shoulder blades back and making that circular motion. Again, I'm probably doing really big movements. If you haven't done this before, they might be a little bit smaller. That's fine. Really making those big circles. We'll just go one way and then we'll alternate and go the other way the second time. But if you want to kind of alternate the whole time, you know, kind of switch back and forth, you can. But we'll just kind of go back. I get a nice good stretch with that. And then the next set will go forward, which sometimes is a little bit harder for people. It's always interesting to see the coordination part of it, or it just feels weird. So now this time I'm going forward, rolling it. And so I really feel this. I feel my shoulder blades in the back moving, which is what you want to feel. If you happen to have some tightness or some scar tissue back there, it might not be as smooth, but it's a great way to get everything moving and mobilizing in there. So this is an exercise, but it's also kind of really stretching everything out. If you over exaggerate those circles, you know, get those nice big circle movements in there. It's really nice to kind of get everything moving. So now we're going to do a shoulder squeeze or a scapular squeeze. Really try and keep the shoulders down with this, and you're trying to work those muscles in the back, those rhomboid muscles back there. So you're not just pushing back, you're really trying to squeeze everything back. I use my elbows to use as a guidance, so I'm squeezing back like this. You know, imagine someone's hand is right on your spine and you're trying to squish their hand with your shoulder blades back there. This is another one where you can do a little pause, like a 3 to 5 second pause, but try and keep those shoulder blades down. That's the shoulders down. A lot of times people will come up like this, but you're trying to prevent those levator scapulae muscles from getting overworked, so you're squeezing back this way. Now, if you feel like you're just kind of moving your elbows back there, you can do this without using your elbows. But I feel like in the beginning, using your elbows as a target really helps you get that squeeze, because sometimes people really won't feel that movement, and that's what you want to feel. But you can do the squeeze without using your elbows if you feel like you're just moving your elbows back and not having those shoulder blades going. But you really want to feel that squeeze in there. You want to feel those shoulder blades coming together, and then maybe like that 3 to 5 second hold and relax. And so if you feel then once those shoulder blades are moving again, then you can add those elbows in there to really get that squeeze back there and open up that chest in the front to get that really nice movement in there. So there you have it. That was my general stretches and exercises for the neck. So if you're taking the challenge, congratulations, you finished the first one. And if you want to check out more in the 10-day challenge, check out the playlist up there. And to find out more about it, click in the link in the description below. And remember, be safe, have fun, and I hope you feel better soon.